pretty pumped about because this series will go for a few weeks, and then we're going to do, in a few weeks' time, we're going to be doing we're going to start another new series, which is going to be all about boys and girls, you know. So we're going to be doing some gender nights. So all the fellas are going to be hanging out with me and the other male leaders, and all the girls are going to be hanging out with the gals.
In between.
And you can go from one side to the other, from one night to the from one side, wherever you like. But tonight we're starting a new series called What If, you know, and
I don't know.
oh, any time now, ladies, can I interrupt you? Oh, lovely.
Sorry, Phyllis.
Oh, nice. Doesn't want to speak with your mouth full enough.
I decided I don't
Nice.
have anything in my mouth.
So have you ever had that moment, right, in your life?
Shut up!
So have you ever had that moment where you thought to yourself, I should have done that, and I didn't do that thing, and then it cost you something, you know? So let me tell you a story. When I was a little bit younger, I had this opportunity to get a qualification, right? And I thought to myself, I am never going to use this particular qualification. I don't even know how to do it. But my boss at the time said, you're going to do this course. I said, no, I'm not. They said, yes, you are. I said, no, I'm not. And they said, yes, you are. I said, no, I'm not. And they said, yes, you are. No, I'm not. And so this went on for about 3 minutes. And then I said, okay, I'm going to do this course. I'm going to hate every minute of it. And I'll do it just because you're telling me that I have to do it. You know, she said, well, I'm paying you too. So you're going to have to do it. So anyway, I did this course. And I hated every minute of it. I thought every moment I sat in this particular course, I thought to myself, I'm never going to use this. I hate being here. I want to be off doing my own thing. I just want to go and play. And so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to get through this. So it took about 16 weeks to get through this particular course. And I thought to myself, oh, you know, it was hard work for me, you know. And I thought, no worries, got to the end of it. And I said, right, I'm done. I got my qualifications, they gave me a certificate, it was terrific, you know, and I said, thanks very much. It was awesome, thanks so much. And I went off, and I said, yeah, no worries. For 5 years, I never used that particular qualification, 5 years, and I thought that entire time, I thought to myself, you know what, I knew I was right. I knew this thing was never, ever going to be any kind of effect on my life. But then, the rules changed around having access to schools. And then, in order to get into schools, to speak in schools, to run classes in schools, to do teaching in schools, you had to have this particular qualification. If you didn't have this particular qualification, and I thought to myself, what if I didn't do that qualification way back then? I was so short-sighted and so arrogant and so full of myself that I thought to myself, I am never going to use this, but my boss knew better. My boss had a little bit of insight in the education world and knew things were about to change. And so, if I had not got that qualifications, we have some of our guys here from our advanced class in one of the schools that we teach in, and we've been teaching in that school for 12 years. We would not have been able to teach in that school if I didn't get that particular qualification. And it means that I could actually go into the school and take other staff into that school and run particular programs in schools. And what if I didn't get that qualification? The challenge was 5 years later, if you went to do the same qualification, it was going to take you a year and cost you over $3,500. So I was a fool. Sometimes in our life, there are things that we do and we think to ourselves, based on where we are, this is never going to change. This thing in my life is never going to change. But I want to challenge your thinking tonight about what if. What if it did change within a moment, within this, you know, the last series we did, we talked about from the bus stop to the bedroom, and it was that whole swipe right series about relationships and about where you are and about friendships and all that sort of stuff. And you were asking yourself, and for some of you, for a lot of you, it was actually challenging the way you do friendship and relationships. If you haven't seen the entire series, go back online, like Alex said on the video, and have a look at the series. It is quite confronting. You may never go back to it. I met with a lady today who was in my youth group 25 years ago. She brought her 11-and-a-half-year-old son to meet with me today to have a little bit of a chat about some of the stuff that he's going through. But 25 years ago, she was in my youth group, and she said, "You changed my life 25 years ago and you didn't even know it. But now I need help with my son." 25 years later. What if she didn't come to that youth group? What if I wasn't faithful to my calling to kind of hanging out with young people? What if? Then I wouldn't be sitting here today having a chat with her son and having that awesome privilege to be able to have a chat with her. 4.5 years ago, Nat, do you want to come and share your story from Thursday rather than me share it?
Sure.
So if you didn't know, Nat has been with Bridge Builders 16 years. 15 years. Feels like ever. You know? So we met Nat for a little mongrel, you know, about 15, 16 years ago. What if we didn't meet her? Now tell the story from Thursday.
Yeah, so Thursday I went shopping because I needed food I need to eat. So I walked into this particular Coles. I'd never been there before in my life. And I decided instead of me going normally through self-serve that I would actually have someone else load my groceries up for a change. And it just happens to be the lady behind there, the checkout chick, was saying, "Bridge Builders, you still in the litter?" "Yes. 4 years ago, you saved my son's life." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And she goes, "Yeah, you know," she named his son, I won't on here. My partner, or his dad and I actually, we were going through a divorce at the time, and he was struggling with everything that was going on in his world, and came along to you guys, and because of you guys, he actually changed his world around. He's now actually in year 12, and he's studying to be a biologist. So which is really, really cool. So
What if?
Yeah, what if?
Well done, Natty. Thanks for going in there. It was great. You know, if you don't know where that college is, it's down on the highway somewhere. You may never know. Your parents have probably stopped in there. I've probably stopped in there 3 times in my entire life. But what if Bridge Builders didn't exist for that young fella, you know, 4.5 years ago? And what if Nat didn't go in there and hear that story? You know, we told the story a couple of weeks ago. I was looking for a flue for my. I've got a man cave, and I was looking for a little flue for the fire. We went into the fire heater joint round the corner here, and the salesman was really excited to see us. I thought, this is so weird. You know, it's like, who is this guy? Like, he's a very enthusiastic salesman, you know. "Hi guys, good to see you." I thought maybe I was wearing something of his or something when I was chatting with him. And he said, "So good to see you." He said, we asked about the flu, and you had to go to the flu factory or something, whatever, you know. And I said, "All right." And he says, "You guys don't know, do you?" And I said, "No, mate, we don't know." In 2009, Beck, did we run this? Yeah, 2009, we ran a bushfire relief camp for the kids that were affected by the bushfires. 367 young people we took away for a week, and that had been severely affected and lost family members, all kinds of stuff. We had the most unbelievable and exhausting week. We gave out so much sugar, hugs, you know, and love that week to those young people. The man was standing there, and he said to us, "You wouldn't know this, but my son and daughter went along to your bushfire relief camp, and you saved their life. It changed our entire family because we had lost so much. We'd lost everything." And I said, "Oh, how's your son and your daughter now?" I said, "They're going great. They're going fantastic. Life's, you know, rebuilt, moving on, you know." Nice. And so, if we hadn't, what if we didn't take the risk to say, you know what, we want to do something different with the young people who have been affected by this particular tragedy? What if we didn't do that thing? So I've got a couple of questions for you tonight. This is where you get to respond, right? You heard that song, "What If God Was One of Us"?
What if God was one of us? Yeah, something like that.
And the next line is,
I don't know.
"Just a stranger on a
I
bus."
saw it on Glee. Yes!
Do we know the next line? We know the next line. Your homework this week is to study that song, right? Just a slob.
Like one of us.
Yeah, it's pretty kind of consistent, I know. Just keep saying one of us. So, that song is going to be stuck in your head. You're going to go to bed tonight. You're going to lay your head down on a pillow. And then all I want you to do at that moment is just picture my face. Gotcha. Some freaky moment right there. You won't sleep well. That's all good. What if? Anyway, here's a couple of questions for you. What if someone was to write a song about your life? Now think about it for a minute. Think carefully. Miranda, you're very enthusiastic tonight. All right. Anybody got an idea of what your song would be called if someone came to you and they were a musician and they said, I want to write a song about your life and this is what we're going to call it? There's something from, Deep Purple or something going on there. Right, what would be your song title? I've got one. Yep.
Story of my life.
That's a story of my life.
Is that One Direction?
Yes!
What happens if they were older? Anyway, it doesn't matter. What is it? Hey, get out and love them. Right, anybody else got a song? Song idea for your life?
Glass Girl.
Glass Girl. And why would it be Glass Girl?
Because,
She's fragile.
yeah. And, I'm very transparent and, I broke, glass, but then I got put back together.
Nice.
I don't know what I'm saying.
Good try that. Right.
I went to hell because it's been if you remember my story, it's been really, really shitty.
Nice. So Highway to Hell followed by Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got? Somebody. Yeah.
Journey through the past?
What?
Journey through the past.
Journey through the past. Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, nice. That's cool. Okay, nice. Now, so the interesting part is if someone... Now, who's seen the movie Jaws? It's the best movie to see just before you summer. Just before you go on the beach. Do the whole lot and just see it all. Gets it right out of your system. You don't even think about sharks when you go in the water at that point.
But then you don't know a shark next.
Until there's seaweed in the water and you what is that shadow? You jumped right there, I know. I scared her and she wasn't even in the water. I see that! Now, the interesting thing is I was checking out on YouTube today. There is somebody who's gone to great expense to do the reverse. Now, what I mean by that is there is a shark on a boat. Standing on the boat. I swear to God, it's on YouTube, right? There's a guy in a shark outfit, and then you hear the and this man jumps up out of the water, rips the back out of the boat and beats the living crap out of the shark on the boat, and then the man drags the shark down into the water. I swear to you, it's on YouTube. You are so going to see it. Now, what's it called? It's called When Jaws Revenge. I don't know what it's called. It's called... hang on. I think it's called... Jaws was reversed. If you type into YouTube, Jaws was reversed. That's serious, I swear. There is no looking at it now.
Put it on the Facebook.
All right, put it on the Facebook. Right, because when you look at it, the big shark thing is Keith is chattering on the thing because he's afraid of the man coming out of the water. So what if Jaws was reversed?
That would happen.
That would happen.
Yeah.
I would pay to watch that.
Well, I think there was a surfer that gave old Jaws a one too, So, some of us think about movies. Now, I love going to the movies. I just love it. There's a bunch out at the moment that I just want to see. Now, what happens? Who loves the movie? Okay. What if? What would happen if a movie like Avatar was made? Who saw Avatar? Who loved it? Which one?
There's two.
Oh, no, not the Airbender. I'm talking about the blue one. Do we even know? Well, we're talking about the Airbender. I've seen that one too, and that was alright, but Right, here's the challenge. These two need to be separated at the front. I think they talk too much.
No, they're on the shoulder.
So, they are.
I have had nothing.
So here's the challenge.
I just had myself with.
Avatar, out of all the movies that have been produced, Avatar turned over $2 billion.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
So all the Star Wars, all the everything, not combined series, but in a particular movie, it turned over $2 billion. You think of all the people that it employed and all the profit that was made out of that, but what if Hollywood didn't produce movies? What if the cure for cancer was in plain view and we didn't say anything about it? What if, come back up. What if the cure for cancer was in plain view? I think there'd be a few of my friends and family members that I'd be wanting to share that with. What if, who has Siri on their phone? My son took my Navman the other day and he loaded up the baby from Family Guy. The voice, Stewie. Not a good idea. He's very abusive when you don't go the directions that he wants to go.
Yeah.
What are you, a fool? You do not think I know where I'm going. Right, so he's very verbally abusive. I have to switch it over to the Irish guy. But what happens, what if Siri tried to kill you? Oh! You're never going to look at your phone the same way. See? There's another video of that on YouTube if Siri tried to kill you. What if, I've got a couple of friends like this, what if you had a second chance at life?
Yeah,
What happens if your life ended? I'm not talking about wishful thinking. I'm talking about something happened in your life where you are clinically, medically proven to be dead. You come back to life and you have a totally different focus. What if that was part of your journey? For some of us, that would be a cool experience. For some of us, it may or may not change us. For most of the people, for my two friends in particular, it changed their entire perspective. I'll come back in a second. Yeah.
I was just going to say, what if it's your third chance at life?
If it's your third chance, you're doing you're like a cat. That's like 9 lives, man. That's pretty cool. That's pretty rad. If you're getting chances at it. I've got a friend of mine who's struggling with an illness. I think he's been pronounced dead 5 or 6 times, and I'm thinking, do they not just like claim it once? You know, like why do you have to have like 5 or 6? What if white people, that's most of you in this room, what if white people were persecuted like the blacks were throughout history?
That would hurt.
But we are a lot more equality.
What if that was the reality for us? What if you lived
And we see a lot more equality now.
in a third world country? How many of you have been, visited, not holidayed, I'm talking about visited and been involved in a third world country?
I might be going to.
No, not might be.
Oh,
Yeah. If you ever get the opportunity to visit, be a part of, and do something in a third world country, what should you say?
Yes.
Exactly right. You say yes. Doesn't matter about the money, doesn't matter about how long you've gone from school or anything, it will alter your entire life. We used to take youth teams to India just to give them the experience of the slums of India and try and help and build orphanages and so forth there, change their entire life. What if you were the person, and there's plenty of us in this room, who have lost a friend or a family member? How would you see life differently? Do you know, what if the moon, how about this thing, right? If the moon was closer to the earth, do you know what would happen?
We'd die.
Most of us would be dead. We'd have to grow gills right at that point. Have to decide, like, hold your breath really hard, push hard and pop those gills, because most of us would be drowned right at that point.
We would be having
They have-
aneurysms.
They have high tides, low tides, and most... Miranda, pay attention here. I know your brain's going to pop in a minute. I've got some good ones here, mate. So, what if the sun... Now, the sun is 157 million miles away, or whatever they say. Do you know if the sun was only 10 feet?
We'd all die.
We don't
We'll be
be making it die.
If it was 10 feet closer, 10 feet. Right, so that's 2 of you joined together, right? So if you were 10 feet, if the sun was 10 feet closer, we would be burnt to a crisp. If it was 10 feet, just 10 feet further away, we'd be all frozen to death. Incredible stuff that is so what? What if you were born earlier, having this little funny moment with Beck, she's a twin, right? And she always talks about being...
It's my theory, right? And it's correct.
Yeah. We always talk, how many seconds were you?
Like 4.
I think her brother, she reckons, tried to escape first, from the mother's womb, and she grabbed him by the ankle, pulled him in and said, bitch, I'm going out first. And she said, I got this, I am not being the third born. Right, so what if you were born in a different time? There are times when I watch movies that I think that would be so cool. And then there are other moments that I think, nah, perhaps not, So just sort of think, nah, well, there's bits of it I like, there's bits of it I not. What if you were the opposite gender?
I already
Yeah, I know. All right. We're not talking about thinking yet. We're talking about actually born as a... If you're a male right now... If you were born right now... Oh, so much giggly juice in here tonight.
Oh my gosh.
So if you were born as a female, so you're a man right now and you think, oh yeah, I so want that. And if you were a girl right now and say, yep, I so want to be like that. How would your life change? Because some of you I've heard say, oh, guys get it so easy. You haven't been a guy, girlfriend, we have to put up with you women. Hey, no, I'm only stirring it like right. How about this? What if you didn't have computers, you didn't have a mobile phone, and God forbid you didn't have Facebook? What is it?
Apocalypse.
Amish. There's a word for that too. It's called sanity. Right.
There'll be a apocalypse with everyone going crazy.
Everyone would go crazy. Maybe we'd learn to talk together. That would be interesting. How about this though? What if you could be who you're meant to be without the pressure of your friends or your schoolmates or the stuff that goes on inside your head? What if you could just be you? What if you could just be the most amazing you that walked on this planet? Imagine if you didn't have, what if you didn't have the pressure of the latest phone, the latest clothes, the latest hairstyle, the latest group to be in, the latest school, the latest shoes? What if you didn't have any of that pressure? What kind of person would you end up being at the end of that moment? If you could just have, what if you could be that person? So okay with who you are that you weren't manipulated and twisted out of shape until you didn't even know who you were anymore. What if that was possible? Imagine how free, just imagine for a moment how liberated you would feel. I went out for a ride on my motorcycle, my Harley on the weekend actually. You didn't know about a Harley, yeah. Anyway, I went out for a ride on my Harley on the weekend and I just went to Bunnings. I said to my son, I'm just going to Bunnings. I went quickly, yeah. Oh, but I was on it, And I went to Bunnings, I right there, and I was walking out of Bunnings with my Harley gear on and the sandpaper and sticky tape in my hand, water all out, stuck it in my saddlebags of my Harley. And as I got on the bike, the lady says to me next door, getting in the car, she goes, "Nice Harley." I said, "Yes." What if I sort of went, I actually said, yeah, that's how we do it in Harley talk, And when guys on normal motorcycles, road bikes ride down the road, you don't nod. I nod at everyone because I'm on Harley, It's not a nod, I kind of feel like I'm banging my head on half the time, So anyway, but what if a bunch of people that felt like it was going to be a great idea to bless me with a Harley Davidson. Imagine, what if those people didn't do that? Would my night have been any different?
Nope.
I wouldn't have known any different because I had a few cordials. But you know, the reality was, so the reality is, for most of us sitting here, we have what if conversations in our mind every single day. What if, I call it spidey sense at times, we have this in the office here where we're talking about stuff, or I get this kind of gut feeling. We need to do something about whatever this situation is. I want to encourage you to be in tune with that little voice that talks to you inside that says, maybe you should reach out to that person. Maybe you should say something good to this person. Maybe, because what if you were the one person that happened to say something to that other young person and it changed their entire life? What if you were that guy? What if you were that girl? What if you were so okay with who you are and the journey that you are on that you could just be infectious to people about being okay about who they are? I have met and currently know a bunch of young people who are just like that, and they're sitting in this room. There is a bunch of young people that sit in this room who are okay with who they are, and because they are infectious with everybody they come in contact with. They just want to make a difference in their life. What if you were that kind of guy? So what if God was one of us? I don't know. I don't know what it even looked like. But the reality is, some of us in this room are so divine in the way that they share their love and acceptance and care for one another, it costs them a lot. Am I right?
Yep. Yeah.
It costs us a lot to be a what if kind of person. But what if you made a decision tonight that you were going to be that guy or that girl that was okay with who you are, and you said, you know what? I'm going to be that what if person. I'm going to be that person that's okay in the skin they're in, okay with where they are right now because there's a lot of life to do, and I'm okay with where I'm going because I know who I am. There are a bunch sitting in this room tonight that don't know that. There are a bunch of your friends. There are a bunch of your mates that need you to be that what if kind of person. That when they start talking, you know, about sad things in their life, about poor direction, about choices, about things that they want to do that want to be harmful to them. Imagine if you were to say, yeah, but what if? What if you did this? What if you did that? What if you did that? I love getting those what if moments. They are so cool. So guys, tonight, when you go into your pack, as we unpack this series, I want you to, right at the start of this series, be convinced about, what if I could be okay with who I am, right where I am right now? I can tell you what, a lot of the pressure, anxiety and stress and depression and all those things that attack you so full on will just stop like this. Because we're not talking about chemical imbalances, we're just talking about the stuff that gets so messed up inside our brain, so confused inside our heart at times, that if maybe we could just take a breath, and what if for the next few weeks you just decided to be okay with you? Just being okay with who you are. Your age, your gender, your looks, your space, your friends, your whoever you are, your family makeup, whether you like it or don't like it, just be. Just what if you could just be that kind of person for the next few weeks and just be okay? I tell you what, your entire perspective on life will change. And you will find that you'll become very magnetic to other people who want to be around who you are. So, as you go into your packs tonight, I want to encourage the pack leaders, be vulnerable with your pack tonight about those what if moments. For the guys that are in your pack, I want you to think, what is that even possible? What Phil's talking about, I have experienced it and experienced it from people in this room. I'm not going to isolate them, but it's not just the leaders. You might be thinking, oh, it's all these leadership team. No, I'm not talking. I can look around this room and see young people who are just, it costs them to be that what if kind of person. It costs them to be that. So tonight, let's be cool about who we are. Because there's a lot of people out there who just tell you that you're crap. Isn't there? There's a lot of people, there's a lot of messages out there that just twist us so out of shape that that just like contort our entire mind and our heart to be something else that we're not formed or created to even be. We're so bent out of shape, we don't even know who we are. And we wonder why we get so frustrated. We wonder why we get so agitated about stuff. We wonder why we get so lost and depressed and uncertain and anxious when we get into certain, because we've been so twisted we don't even know who we are anymore. And so the reality is, imagine if over the next few weeks we could just kind of, you could just untwist that. Yeah, that's my face washer, right? You could just, right?
That was different.
We could just, oh, sorry, that was for the other people. That was for the boys. You know, the first one was for the girls, the second one's for the boys. You know, that's a male and a female untwisting. So the challenge for us is simply, right, if you could just let go. If you feel like you're like one of those little face washers, you know, so squeezed right up and twisted out of shape, that maybe you could be that kind of person that over these next few weeks you could just go, you know what, I'm just going to let myself untwist. I'm just going to ease up on myself. I'm just going to ease up on who I am, the anxiety that I have, the stresses that I have, the things I worry about, the things I don't worry about, the things I worry about, you know, like all of that kind of crap that goes on in our minds, in our hearts. Just relax over the next few weeks. Let us untwist and let us just find out if you could be that, you know, what if kind of person. What if I was different? What if I was okay? What if I was helpful to other people? What if I was generous? You know, I watch Tyler at times and I see him and listen to him, and I see him at events, and I listen to him around here, and he's that what if kind of guy. He's a guy that's infectious. He's a guy that just loves being around people, loves loving on them. Yeah? He's the kind of guy that's happy. It doesn't mean he's got it all together, but he's a what if kind of guy. That's what I love about him. He's a good young fella. Great young guy. If you don't know him, you're going to know him now because I've just nominated him, and he's out there and you're going to say, oh, get around that guy, you know? So get around people like that, because what if it changed you? What if you made a decision over the next couple of weeks just to maybe let go a little bit of the tension of trying to be with that group of people? Just be with that. Just let them go for a moment. Those people. I got a friend of mine that hates that. I do it to them all the time. So imagine, and you think, oh yeah, no, that's not me. Well, then you're a liar. Because all of us twist ourselves out of shape at times to try and fit in certain circumstances and situations. So, this week, hang on, hold. So this week, I want to encourage you. Let's undo our face washer just for the next few weeks, and let it just soak in all the water and be dripping by the end of it, alright? So that when you flick that at someone, they get super wet, you know? Let's go in the packs.